What's going on, everyone? I hope you're all doing as well as you possibly can. That being said, before we continue to push forward into the series, TikTokers Who Did Terrible Things, I would like to yet again remind you, a lot of the cases we're going to be talking about are much more complicated than insinuated over on TikTok, and there's a good couple of reasons for this. One, it is extremely hard to paint the entire vivid picture of what has transpired and still be within the community guidelines. Two, quite simply, time constraints. With that, I would also like to say the handful of views we are starting to get over on this YouTube channel means so much more than the millions we have been getting over on TikTok. So if you did step over here from TikTok, I would just like to say thank you very much. With that, let's discuss some TikTokers who did terrible things, episode 3. Zachary Latham, otherwise known as C6_Zach with 2 A's. Creator class type, instigator. Specialty, pissing his neighbors off. Claim to fame, the following incident. So this one takes us back to a time where they had just began locking everything down due to COVID-19. If you're anything like me, I'm sure you remember a time sitting at your home or your apartment, wondering if you were going to continue to have a job within the next few weeks. And with that, every single social media platform out there would experience a boom to the likes they had never seen before. More downloads, more users, more content, especially on TikTok. I mean, it was like all of a sudden you had a demographic of people who swore they would never find themselves on that platform posting content on TikTok. YouTubers. But that's neither here nor there. You see, this is really where the story of Zach begins. Just before COVID lockdowns, Zach had enlisted in the National Guard, married his high school sweetheart, and then proceeded to move in with his grandparents in a quiet little neighborhood located in Vineland, New Jersey. And shortly thereafter, he began posting content on TikTok as C6_Zach. And for the first while, a lot of this was innocent enough. It was just simply another teen participating in all the trends, just trying to get his name out there. In essence, most everything he did on this platform involved him flexing the things that he had. Most notably, sitting on top of his Corvette, taking part in various trends. And then it was like all of a sudden, Zach's account went absolutely viral on all forms of social media, in the form of this video you're looking at right now. In this particular video, Zach can be seen repeatedly calling his neighbor a Karen, doing everything he can to make her look as crazy as possible. And more so, his audience would completely take his side. Well, as time went on, Zach will begin posting more and more of these confrontational videos. At this point, it's worth pointing out, the Durhams, his neighbors, had previously called the cops to fill out a report several times. However, even though they were told there was definitely an issue here and that something needed to be done, due to the fact they were only responding to certain situations, absolutely nothing would be done. For months and months, the Durhams had to put up with this kid, not only driving like a bat out of hell through the neighborhood, it just seemed like he would take every opportunity to be that general dick of a neighbor, calling them names, flicking them off for no reason, doing burnout. But the thing that made the Durhams angry most of all, he would do this thing where he would swerve into their lane menacingly, acting like he was going to run them off the road pretty much every time. And finally, the Durhams had enough. One day, Zach is leaving the neighborhood while one of the Durham sons is riding a bicycle down the road. And as Zach passes by this individual, he would not only swerve towards him yet again menacingly, the kid was forced to run off the road. So later on, when Zach came back home, William Durham Sr., his father, had been waiting for Zach in the front of the neighborhood. So Mr. and Mrs. Durham completely blocked the roadway in a silver pickup truck, not allowing Zach to drive any further forward. At this time, Zach gets out, as do the Durhams, and as they approach each other, one of two things transpired. Either Zach shoved Mrs. Durham out of the way so that he could drive on, or she knocked the phone out of his hand and the recording stops. Immediately after this video, Zach, along with his wife and friends, get back in their car and haul ass back to his grandparents' place, with Mr. and Mrs. Durham following not too far behind. It was at this point the biggest altercation between the two parties would ensue. As Zach and his friends pull in that driveway, Mr. and Mrs. Durham are getting out of their truck and walking towards Zach. In addition to this, two of Mr. Durham's sons are now making a beeline for him as well. And with all of the commotion and yelling that's going on, Zach's wife starts filming. It's at this point Zach, along with his friends, retreat into the garage, telling the Durhams they need to leave the property. Things just continue to escalate, and eventually Zach comes out of the garage brandishing a 4-inch knife and a taser. And as one of Mr. Durham's sons gets into a scuffle with him, Mrs. Durham can be heard telling Zach to drop the knife. William Durham Sr. attempts to grab Zach and is fatally stabbed under his armpit. Zach would then call 911 and report the following.
Where's your emergency? There's blood all over the place. I just got assaulted and jumped.
All right, are you the one that got stabbed?
No, that was the other victim, but I got beat up really bad and I had blood all over me.
All right, so you're at 2986 Thornhill as well?
Yes.
All right, and you want an ambulance?
I don't know.
All right, the person the people who did it to you, are they still there?
They came with trucks, came on my property with guns, and then when I fought them off, they drove away.
All right, how are you injured, sir?
My windpipe was busting, and I got stomped out and choked by like 10 people.
All right, and where are you bleeding from?
I don't know. There's blood all over me. I don't even know if it's cut. There's blood all over our garage.
Okay. Now the person
came in and said they had guns and they were going to kill us, and they came in my garage and attacked all of us. There was 4 people.
Okay. Hold on 1 second for the police, okay?
Okay.
Now at this point, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking the same thing. Although Zach, yes, was a very disrespectful neighbor and things probably shouldn't have been taken as far as they were. This might kind of sound like a case of self-defense in Zach's favor. And before we move any further forward, I will just say this. Allegedly, there is a video that exists showing everything from Zach's girlfriend's point of view. And apparently, Zach's legal team stated if this were to be used in court, it would clearly prove his innocence. However, the court would deny them the ability to log that video as evidence on his behalf. They would go solely with a video taken by Mrs. Durham. In addition to this, those viral videos Zach had been posting on his TikTok would also be logged as evidence against him on the Durham's behalf. Moreover, the legal team for the Durhams would state several times if Zach's true intentions were to avoid this conflict and get to safety, he would have just gone inside, not sit there in the confines of his garage, filming the entire thing as a ploy to become TikTok famous. And this letter written by the Durham's legal team is the sole reason all of these headlines would blow up overnight, stating Zach had killed someone to try and become TikTok famous. Well, over the course of the next few weeks, Zach would actually post bail, get out, and move down to Florida, where he would continue posting and commenting on his social media about what he had done and what had transpired. A little under a year later, Zach would be arrested yet again, this time in an alleged road rage incident where Zach would brandish a pellet gun towards another driver who had cut him off. However, this pellet gun was said to have resembled that of an AK-47, and the driver of that other vehicle truly did think it was a real firearm. And with that, Zach was slapped with a cease and desist on all of his social media and extradited back to New Jersey, where shortly thereafter he would be charged with aggravated manslaughter in the first degree, receiving a 17-year prison sentence for the killing of William Durham Sr. So that's it, y'all. That is going to do it for Zachary Latham. If you think of anything I missed, feel free to leave it in the comments section below. That being said, I will see you on the next one.